2 Corinthians 12, 9 and 10. You were just talking about how do you how do you get free of this stuff? So Paul's having all sorts of problems, and he's prayed for God to set him free 3 times.
Yeah.
And that's just a Hebrew way of saying over and over and
A
over.
ton. Yeah.
and, and so Paul says, and he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. I just want to just touch on that. The
Yeah.
Greek doesn't say my grace is sufficient for you. Um, Sufficient is an adjective, and the actual word is a verb. So really, what it says is not that my grace is sufficient, which leaves me empty. It's like, oh, great, God's grace is sufficient for me.
So what do I
So now
do?
what do I do? What do I do to get it? How do
Yeah.
I get His grace?
Yeah.
But what it really says is, my grace suffices you. What's that mean? That means that my grace makes you fit. It makes you sufficient. My grace makes you sufficient. Well, if we don't understand what grace is, then that still doesn't help a lot. But grace is simply God giving Himself and everything that He possesses to you to live His life inside you with you. That's grace. Grace that is unmerited favor. What a sick definition. I mean, yeah, it's true, but it doesn't help anybody. It left me empty for years.
Yeah.
But now I know that His grace suffices me, and then I know that His grace is Him, His life inside me, living His life inside me, unique to me. Wow! Now I've got something to fall back on and say, Father, I don't know how to deal with this, but your grace is sufficing me right now and making me sufficient. And so teach me. I want remember the grace of God in Philippians, or was it Titus, where Paul said that the grace of God has appeared, teaching us. Well, the word teaching us is teaching little children. And so the grace of God appeared to teach us. So when he says that my grace suffices you, my grace is Him teaching us, giving us everything we need. And it's His teaching us that's sufficing us. Well,
Yeah.
what's He doing? He's teaching us, He's making us able to
Mm.
do what He wants us to do, what we were born to be able to do, which is to live like God.
Yeah.
And but it's not us being gods on our own. It's God living His life inside of us. We're vessels.
Yeah.
We're vessels, and God is the one inside of us, living His life inside of us,
Yeah.
unique to each one of us. I mean,
Yeah.
this to me is wonderful.
Yeah.
But to go on, because we could talk about this one for hours too.
Yeah.
Um, but then in verse 10, he says, this one's always bothered me. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in needs, in persecutions, in distresses for Christ's sake. Excuse me. For when I am weak, then I am strong. The Greek doesn't say that. I mean, the Catholic Church and other people, said, well, I'm going to suffer for Christ. And that's what I'm doing. I'm suffering for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
That's not what he was talking about. The Greek for, that's translated for here, the Greek word is huper. It means over. So therefore I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in needs, in persecutions, and distresses over Christ. That in the middle of all these problems, his rejoicing was not in the infirmities and the reproaches and the needs. His rejoicing was over Christ. He was, no matter what was going on, he was rejoicing over Christ, not over all the problems. But I've heard it taught for decades
Yeah.
that he was taking pleasure in the infirmities and things like that. I mean, the Greek word is clear. The translators that translate it that translate huper for, they're just doing it because that's what they were taught. It's not because they put any original thought into what God could be saying and who God is. It's just this garbage that's been taught for so long that people don't even consider. Huper doesn't mean for, and anytime you see it translated for, change it to over and see what that says to you. And it may not make sense to you because you're not used to thinking over Christ's sake. But the word sake is not in there. Okay, it's just over Christ. He was rejoicing over Christ. That's just amazing to me.
Wow.
So anyway, now here's what I wanted to get to
Okay.
answer your question. For when I am weak, then I am strong.
Yeah.
Okay, the interesting thing about this is that the word um, when I am weak, uh, it's present tense, it's a subjunctive mood, and it's an active voice. So when I am weak should be, if that's really what it said, that would be the passive voice. But it's not, it's the active voice. It's Paul saying he does something, not something has happened to him, which would either be the middle voice or the passive voice.
Mhm.
Paul is saying that when he weakens, then strong he is. And actually, he says, strong I am.
Wow.
So Paul weakens. Well, that's what happened to me in my office that day
Yeah.
when I was, I just, I gave up. I weakened myself and I said, I can't do this.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I'm not going to even try anymore because it's worthless. I need your help and I am yours, but I am going to go ahead and do what I want to do, and you do whatever you're going to do. And if you want to condemn me to hell, then, and I did say that, if you want to send me to hell, then I'm in hell already. So go
Yeah.
ahead.
What difference does it make?
What difference does it make?
Yeah.
And what I did was weaken. And I didn't know this verse was here in the Greek for years, till
Yeah.
years after that. But
That's wow.
isn't that wonderful?
That is wonderful.
I just said, God, I can't do it. Well,
Yeah.
how many people have learned that in their lives, but they didn't get it from the scriptures?
Yeah.
Not this scripture they didn't get it from because it's translated wrong.
Right.
But the fact is I've known of other people that just said, I give up. And bam, God did something. They didn't understand why. They just knew they had given up, and they didn't realize it was a principle that they could live on that made them able to get free of other things. They just knew that this one thing they got free of because they just gave up. And you've heard that phrase, let go and let God. I mean, I was taught that back at the University of Florida.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to do it, but
Right. Yeah.
it sounded good.
Right.
And
Because
people sometimes people did do it, but they didn't really know what they were doing. They were able to do it. They were so frustrated they just couldn't take it anymore, and they just gave up. And that's
yeah.
what they needed to do was give up.
Right. And
How wonderful!
it is wonderful. And that verse, my grace is sufficient, even though it suffices. My grace suffices. I
Yeah,
was just thinking before I wrote down, I so often think that I suffice. That my knowledge, my flesh, my own
yeah,
intelligence, whatever, I suffice. And
yeah,
it's only in those moments where I recognize I do not that I then do.
yeah.
Because
Yes,
it's
yes.
through me. Oh, that's wild.